Hey, welcome to the newest episode of The Heroes You Deserve. I'm Henry.
I'm Mike.
And this episode, we are going to discuss Black Panther. As we're recording this, it's still in its opening weekend, so it's fresh. So, Mike, overall opinions. What'd you think?
I think this will be useful actually. So what we'll do is just go ahead and give you our broad overview, what we think, and then we'll go straight into spoiler town.
Yes, of course, it's going to be spoilers. I liked it a lot. I know that a lot of people are saying, because different strokes for different folks, a lot of people are saying that this is the best Marvel movie. Now, my thing is, a lot of people said that about Thor Ragnarok, and we never got a chance to do an episode on the review of that movie, but I liked Ragnarok, but I thought it was too much like Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think Thor should have been funny. It was a funny movie. The director does funny movies. I just didn't think Thor should have been funny.
Taika Waititi, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they said that about Ragnarok, and they're saying that about Black Panther. While it may not, to me, may not be the best Marvel movie, but it's certainly up there. It's
among the best. Marvel movies.
It's among the best. I agree.
And for the very reason that most of the superhero movies that I really dig, that I dig them as much as I do. So if you strip away the flourish of the superhero angle, this film still works. Just like if you strip away the flourish of The Dark Knight being a Batman film, it still works as a crime drama. Once you transcend the genre and you make what is a solid story, then the rest sort of falls into place. And between beautiful art direction, fantastic special effects, and fight choreography, Jesus, the fight choreography, and then the narrative itself, just awesome. This is an easy way to spend probably good $40 on a quality theater experience and not feel robbed. We're talking, the luxury seats, maybe go see an IMAX, spend a little bit on the snacks. It's a long movie. Get your drink, get your popcorn, your favorite people around you, and go see this. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Some Marvel movies have tried to mimic a type. Like Winter Soldier was kind of like a spy thriller. People compare Ant-Man to a heist movie.
That's right.
And Guardians of the Galaxy like a space opera kind of thing, And a lot of people are saying Black Panther. Well, some people, what I read online, is that they're comparing it to like a spy movie, like a James Bond. They had a queue, they had a car chase, and they had, two villains, fight at the very end, and there was a whole...
That's actually a pretty cool take. I hadn't considered that, and that's 100% accurate.
Right?
Yeah, it is taking the old spy movie trope of this really well put together, maybe a little naive hero type character, and then... With
war dogs and a overthrow and a coup d'etat. I mean, that's very spy. That's very Mission Impossible.
100% why this film would have worked, even if it wasn't the Black Panther. Again, fantastic writing. Oh, God, the cast. Excellent cast. Everybody crushed it.
Let's talk about the cast. We have some names here.
Oh, yeah. We look at us all prepared. Look,
we're prepared for the first time.
Listen to the paper.
It takes episode 36 to get prepared.
Sure. We didn't think of this earlier, and we have, we did paper, because why would we ever use tablets? Yeah. From top to bottom, fantastic cast. Chadwick Boseman crushed it. But we already knew this was going to be awesome on account of him, because of his involvement in Civil War, correct. He just was T'Challa, and that's all we had of him, sadly. We didn't have too much of the story. We knew he had reason to be involved with the death of his father. But we didn't have much beyond that. So him getting his own film felt natural, and I'm glad they did, because this was gorgeous. Killmonger?
I thought Michael B. Jordan did a hell of a job. He did an excellent job as Killmonger. I thought that was great.
I was not 100% sold on that. Maybe based solely on the Fantastic Four bit. But I don't think that was his fault. Once I saw Creed, that really, really, really pushed me over the edge on Michael B. Jordan. That guy you can put him anywhere, and he's gonna absolutely destroy the role. just not like ruin it. I mean, just he's gonna just dominate it. He's gonna take up space. Every scene he was in, he absolutely stole. It was just the swagger and the toughness and the coolness that he brought to it. He felt like he was hurt, and that he was justified in everything he did.
He had a proper villain motivation of why he was doing what he was doing. I mean, it wasn't a take over the world, and it was a revenge on Black Panther and the country. I mean, he had true motivation as far as he's concerned.
He just wanted to watch everything burn because he was hurt as a child.
Right.
Had a really rough upbringing, and again, none of it felt forced. All of it felt. I mean, he was very sympathetic, even, which is rough to pull off. I mean, Marvel's had its problem with villains in the past, and the same problems sort of exist for this villain as well. I mean, he is essentially just the evil version of the main protagonist of the Black Panther. He's just the evil Black Panther.
I was kind of hoping. I mean, I know it was completely out of reach, but it would have been nice to have a Chris Evans Captain America appearance with Killmonger, because it would have been a Fantastic Four Human Torch reunion.
Oh, not the same ones.
They're Human Torches.
I know, but geez, let's not paint. Let's not sully Michael B. Jordan's name with that. Well, pretend that role didn't happen. I think every actor has probably the one they regret.
All right, let's go on. Lupita Nyong'o played Nakia.
Yes.
How did you think she did?
I wish that
War Dog.
I feel like we're gonna see her character fleshed out in the sequel. I like the idea of her just like having this. She is essentially their Black Widow. She is a spy. She's an infiltrator. She's actually on a mission when T'Challa first encounters her in the film, which is fairly early. And really didn't seem to have needed his help. It was very cool. She seems to be able to hold her own entirely. She's not relying on too much of the fancy, technology that they have access to. Really, it's just her skills as a spy and her, prowess in hand-to-hand combat.
The women are not defenseless in this movie. They are on par with the males in this movie.
If not more so. I mean, they had the better fight sequences, arguably. The weapons that they used too were very, very cool. They all carried this sort of kinetic staff that they can use to create like concussion waves, and acts as, of course, as a normal spear, and collapses down into what appears to be an easily easily hidden object that they can sort of just pull out of nowhere.
Okay. I know there is since I don't watch Walking Dead, I'm familiar with the Michonne character, but I was not aware that this actress played Michonne in the Walking Dead TV series. Danae Gurira?
Gurira. Yeah. Danae Gurira, yeah.
Danae Gurira.
Yes. I had to have my wife remind me who that was, because at first glance, I'm like, oh, this lady's pretty cool. She's, she's given T'Challa some lip service, and it all felt really good. The delivery was awesome, and then like it felt really natural. Like they had a rapport. I felt like the two of them really were used to working with one another. And then she nudges me. It's like, oh, Michonne looks really nice in that thing. Even with her with a bald head. I'm like, I had to stop for a second. I didn't realize who that was, and then it clicked. I'm like, oh my god, this makes so much sense that she would be the choice for that role, given her prowess with the sword in The Walking Dead. And then once I realized that, I was like, the movie just got that much better from that point on. I'm like, okay, something awesome is gonna happen. She's gonna have some fight sequences, and it's gonna be rad.
I want to talk about the next character that we have here on the list, Martin Freeman, who played Everett Ross. His first appearance in the cinematic in the universe was in Civil War?
In Civil War, yeah.
Civil War. If you noticed, there was a slight tone shift in his character, because in Civil War he played the stern interrogator, and here he was more kind of comedic to a certain point.
They used him as comic relief, and what are you gonna do with him? It's Martin Freeman, Bilbo Baggins. But I believe he was used well. He wasn't wasted on this film. It was just, I don't know that his involvement was 100% necessary.
No, but it has some basis in the comic book world, in which we haven't even discussed the history of Black Panther in the Marvel Comics history or universe. I'm in my years of collecting comics, I've come across Black Panther a couple of times. He's had solo series of his own in the 2000s, which I'm not too familiar with, but there was a time where Everett Ross, the character that Freeman plays, was a narrator of the Black Panther miniseries. So he played an outsider. So he would be the outsider narrating. So Black Panther would have to kind of explain to Everett Ross what's going on, and that kind of seems what this movie is doing too. Like he's kind of the outsider, and they have to explain to him what Wakanda is and why it's hidden. It's kind of based on.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. So he was more of sort of a tool for exposition.
Correct.
So that it didn't feel as though it were exposition.
Yes.
Which
yes.
I didn't even realize until now. So I guess it worked.
Right. Another person from the comic book. Let's see here. William Duke played M'Baku, but in the comic book universe, he played Man-Ape, which was the character with the gorilla skin on his forearms and the gorilla head. He is one of Black Panther's main adversaries, and I'm glad they kind of did away with the whole Man-Ape name, because not everything can translate well to the
comic. He also had some awesome lines in the film. You know, just the whole vegan bit.
Yes.
Yeah, he was another Steen Sealer. Oh, that guy. I was happy, when we were doing some research for the show earlier, to see that he is listed on IMDb as being an Infinity War. So he's a cool character. I can't wait to see more of him.
Well, we know in Infinity War, based on the trailer, there are going to be some parts taking place in Wakanda.
Evidently so, and it makes sense that he would be involved in the fight if one is to take place. But he also looked really imposing in that final battle.
Yes.
Great camera work, making him look physically larger than everyone on the field. I mean,
looking like a man-ape, looking like an ape. Huge, towering.
He didn't look quite that big when he was fighting Black Panther earlier in the film. But then when they got on the battlefield, they played with the scale and just really made him look imposing. And like his presence there was the swing factor.
And there was a storyline where even Killmonger, right?
Killmonger, yes.
Even threw T'Challa over the waterfall. I mean, that was based on a comic book story. And at one point in the comics, Killmonger was the king of Wakanda at one point. He was Black Panther and trying to be an Avenger at one point.
So he was trying to pull one over on the Avengers?
Yeah, and not pull one over.
So it was...
It
was full disclosures, like, okay,
yes.
T'Challa's not in, I am in.
Right, and they almost, I think they almost either accepted him or almost accepted him because he was the king, he was Black Panther, and he bested T'Challa in combat, so there's nothing to dispute.
Suppose not.
So Killmonger, T'Challa has never defeated Killmonger in single-handed combat in the comic book.
Never ever?
Never ever.
Oh.
Single-handed, one-on-one. So he's always had to include Avengers or other people, but never in the comic book.
It's a shame that won't play itself out for reasons that we'll explain.
Moving
on.
I was being a fan, since we talked about this once before. This Is Us.
Yes.
Since we, I sometimes miss Black Panther, Black Lightning, because I watched This Is Us. It was good to see Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us in the show. I was not aware he was a part of the movie. So
yeah, that was a surprise. It was a bit part, but an important one, a very integral one to the story. He played Killmonger's father.
All right, and something that you said before we started taping, we when we saw the trailers for Black Panther, it was very vague. It did not tell you, it did not give away the plot of the story like Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor. It didn't tell you what the movie was going to be about, just action sequences. And we knew Killmonger was going to be in it, and we knew Everett Ross, but we just didn't know the core of it. And you had this said that, what were you talking about, where you kind of thought that maybe it was going to be like Lion King a little bit, somewhat.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the wayward son suddenly becomes king and now has to deal with the consequences therein. Maybe he recoils from the responsibility. I was completely wrong. I mean, certainly some elements of it do have some parallels, but I think you'll find that with most good stories are going to have some parallels to other ones. It's just the nature of good narrative. You use what works. So yeah, there's some lines you could draw through the two, but you'd be reaching. Yeah, that was my first impression. I was so wrong. So wrong. This is not that. It was so much better than that. This is a fully realized world. It wasn't copying and pasting one thematic, one theme onto another film's bones. It was truly its own lived-in world.
Like say more spy than
Yeah, way more spy movie than it was Lion King. It wasn't silly. It didn't feel like overtly Africanized to the point of caricature. No, this felt like a real place that real people lived.
A real African country, real like Wakanda was a real country.
Yeah, like he was walking down a street that you might find in Africa anyway, but with technology that even the United States doesn't have. It's incredible. I'd swear it was the same set they used in Thor Ragnarok, but yeah, maybe it was. Maybe they just tweaked some stuff.
And of course, they explained why Wakandan futuristic city was hidden away, and they had the outskirts of the wildlands or the badlands of Africa, and they had or they refused aid, but they knew the Wakandan forever knew the real story of why they're refusing aid, because it was all a front.
It's all subterfuge. It's all just they need the world to believe, or they needed the world to believe that they're their world country that nobody really wanted to mess with because they were so tiny. Meanwhile, they're hiding the richest ore in all of the land, vibranium.
Right, and that kind of plays into the mid-credit scene where he was making an announcement to the UN as far as Wakanda is going to be a little bit more active in the affairs of the world, and it kind of had a Iron Man 1 feel to it, really.
Yeah, it did. I was waiting for it. I'm glad they reeled it in at the very end there. But yeah, there was a wry smile when T'Challa's asked, "Well, what could a third world country possibly have to offer the rest of the world?" That was good delivery. Good. He was very emotive with his face, even though all he had was a wry smile. But still, we got it. We were in on the joke.
And that was the mid-credit scene. What end credit scene, the very end credit scene with the appearance of Bucky, and they nicknamed him White Wolf.
White Wolf, yes.
So where did we last see Bucky? Do you remember?
Bucky was left with the Wakandans to hopefully mend his missing arm, but more specifically to break his conditioning, so he'd no longer be subject to the Winter Soldier programming that was taken advantage of in Age of Ultron.
Right. So I believe, based on the end credit scene, I'm pretty sure Wakandan technology probably deprogrammed him, and I think he's sane and normal now. I think, and it's just kind of a setup for Civil War.
Right.
He's waking up in the tribe. I think it's just kind of getting them accustomed to civilization, I guess. But the nickname White Wolf also has comic book history, but it's not Bucky, though. There is a White Wolf character that was an orphan in Wakanda, and he was raised and he became a soldier in the Wakandan army. It's this white.
So you think they're just using this storyline for Bucky now?
Probably not. They just
the name was cool, so they said let's just take that.
Right. So it's melding. So I don't think it's gonna be.
Well, let's play that one out though. I mean, what if they do give him that guy's storyline? What other history can you tell me?
Just that he became the kind of the general of the guard, and he kind of would control Wakanda when Black Panther was away, and at one point he came at odds with Black Panther, and I think was dismissed. So I don't think he's associated with Wakanda.
Was he a white man?
He was a white man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't see that storyline going over very well.
Yeah. The other white man, speaking of white man, the other one was Andy Serkis.
Jesus Christ, put that guy in everything.
He played Ulysses Claw, who was also in Civil War.
Claw has been a goofy character historically.
Yes. In the comic book, I remember first encountering Claw in Secret Wars, and he was goofy then, but based on extenuating circumstances. But he has the power to sonic blast and create constructs based on solid sound. So that his arm becoming a blaster was kind of based on the comic book somewhat, a little bit. But
I do remember from the comics a scene in Civil War where I believe it's Luke Cage and Jessica Jones having a conversation on a battlefield wherein Claw was on the opposing side. I think they might have been fighting the Thunderbolts, of which he was a member briefly. And Claw sneaking up on her like to attack, and then her like clearly seeing him and not giving a care. Just like, oh gosh, you. She gives him basically a chance. Leave now or die. And he just cowers away. That was essentially the character. Andy Serkis didn't play him this way though. He was loud, boisterous, had horrible impulse control. It was a lot cooler.
he had an album based on his entourage.
Yes, had an album in the SoundCloud.
Right. But I would be remiss to mention that the two white people, I'm going to set this up, Mike. The two white people in this movie were Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis. And I guess they are the two Tolkien white men in this movie, right?
I hate you.
High five. Yes. Woo. All right, so...
I shouldn't. Only encouraging you.
Daniel Kaluuya, who was amazing in Get Out. Did you ever see Get Out?
I did not get to see Get Out. I know it's available on digital now, and I really want to see it. But we consume so much media, it's hard to just get around to every movie. That one's on the list, high on the list. We might wait for October for that one, actually.
About the movie, I mean, I liked it. The whole cube thing and the chase scene and the fight on the monorail, kind of, with the vibranium, and the fact that they were. I didn't think that this movie had any pacing issues because they would always highlight the fight between Killmonger and T'Challa, and then they would flash back to the big battle scene between the Royal Guard and the other ones that were loyal to T'Challa, and then in comes the other fourth tribe, with the rhinoceros. I mean, I thought it was paced very well. I mean, they showed both sides.
Great direction. The fighting never felt as though it was disjointed or just a series of smash cuts and
quick edits.
Yeah, this felt more like, and I hate to draw parallels, but it felt like a Matthew Vaughn fight scene, where the camera was very dynamic and followed the characters' movements really well, so that you weren't getting lost in this blur of ugly editing. You felt like you were in the fight the whole time. Even the aerial fight felt really good too. It wasn't, again, just a bunch of which plane is which. You felt the danger of Martin Freeman's character having to pilot this vehicle remotely.
So
the remote car also really, really cool.
Yes,
that was awesome. I want that to be a thing.
There are some people that think Disney buys out critics, in order for them to favorably review their movie. So there was a lot of hype coming into this movie.
That's the Disney's promotional arm doing what it does best. I'm not going to fault them for really wanting this film to succeed. Clearly the gamble was worth it because they're already at, $387 million for the weekend as of now? Right. As of this recording, $387 million. That is going to be profitable. Worth it.
Do you think this movie matched the hype?
Exceeded the hype. Again, we came in knowing it was going to be a big deal, but not whether or not it was going to be a good movie. Right. All we knew is that the full force of the Disney marketing machine was put to work to great effect, and as a result, my ass was going to be in a seat. We went to the IMAX, excited for the movie, knowing very little about it, and we're not left disappointed.
There's some Marvel criticisms that they always stick to the formula. Did this movie have the Marvel formula?
I mean, at its heart, probably. Yeah, you could argue that. Again, I mentioned the villain issue earlier, wherein the hero essentially.
I don't think you mentioned that on camera though, did you?
Did I not?
No.
I must have. Didn't. Anyway, if I hadn't, let's hear it again. I was thinking that the Marvel formula of the hero fighting just the evil version of himself was played out here again. You saw it with even the first Iron Man, him fighting the Ironmonger. Iron Man 2, he was essentially fighting another villain with an RT. I guess you couldn't draw that parallel in Thor, but you certainly could in this is where I cut Captain America.
Red Skull?
Fighting the Red Skull.
Winter Soldier?
In Winter Soldier as well, essentially fighting another super soldier. So you could argue that that's a thing. They broke that mold a little with, I guess, the Dark World and with Guardians of the Galaxy, but nobody cares about Ronan the Accuser. He was just the opposing force so that the Guardians would have something cool to do. That's kind of lazy writing, but it works. Clearly it works. With this film, again, it does follow that essential structure, but we didn't see the whole redemption story happen, which is what Marvel really likes to play up to, that the hero is flawed and then finds the better part of himself and becomes, the awesome superhero we all known and loved. We didn't see that here. We know T'Challa already knew the kind of man he wanted to be and wanted to live up to it. There was no part of him that was... there's no part of this story in which you felt like he was his worst enemy. No, he did everything the right way. Maybe let hubris get the better of him in his first encounter with Killmonger, but immediately found a way to win. So it wasn't, I am a bad guy who wants to do good but doesn't know how. Then I find the way, and everybody roll credits. We're done.
And then for a movie, for a character that no one's heard of, the origin was a small portion of the movie, and the rest was actual story.
The meat of the story, because the origin's not what matter. I mean, we get so many origin movies, we don't need the whole first third of the film.
Well, sometimes you need that for an unknown character, though. I mean, you don't need the origin of Batman or Superman or Spider-Man over and over again.
Thing is, we were spared that by Civil War, because we saw why Chadwick Boseman becomes the Black Panther. Immediately. His father is killed in front of him, and he adopts the mantle of the Black Panther immediately. So, I don't know if at some point he must have flown back to Wakanda, taken the heart, what is it called? The heart-shaped...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, great. I'm going to have to see this film again, clearly. He must have flown back, gotten that, and then come back to fight in the main battle. Because he had already taken his side, essentially. He wanted the Winter Soldier dead or in prison. He believed him to be responsible. And then didn't ultimately... I guess he did get a hold of him after all. So that's a W.
Yeah. Another thing that people were hoping for, and I know I've discussed this with some people, Jesse Castellanos, a lot of people were hoping that the last Infinity Stone would make an appearance in this film.
Yeah, not a mention of that. And I think, honestly, it would have been shoehorned in.
Right. And
it did not belong in this story.
Right. Even the director made a comment that they already kind of had a MacGuffin with the vibranium and all of that. To have another special element in the stone was too much.
It would have convoluted the story. It was very simple. And even the villain's motivation wasn't just to get vibranium. I mean, yes, it was ultimately, but it wasn't. It was a means to an end for him. Right. It wasn't just to get the vibranium to have it and then be rich. Ha ha ha. No, it was to get the vibranium and then just
overthrow the country.
Overthrow countries everywhere. Overthrow them all.
Create revolutions everywhere. War dogs and hopefully spread the chaos. I mean, he wanted to bring Wakanda down by diluting it, I guess.
I'm an agent of chaos.
Right? Agent of chaos. So, what would you, if you were to pick something negative about the film, what would you say?
All right, strap in. I didn't like the Africa voice. I know I'm gonna catch shit for that, and I deserve it. But hear me out. They did plenty of dialogue that was in African. I would have been happy to read subtitles the whole film.
In Wakandan.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know if it's a dialect. I don't know from African languages, so somebody would have to tell me if that was even was it a real language or was it not? So if you know, please in the comments or hit me up on Twitter. That was probably the most annoying thing because it was done to varying effect. With some people, it's very natural, very obviously natural. These are classically trained actors, and they're great at it. Others were kind of phoning it in, let's be honest. And that breaks the immersion. So that'd be the one complaint I had. There was plenty of scenes wherein they were speaking their native language, and I would have been happy to read subtitles the whole film because that would have created another level of immersion. That would have made this place, again, feel even more real. Of course, when they're dealing with Americans, they could have, casually and quickly gotten the Africa voice out of their body. But yeah, some of it sounded bad, not great. So for some people, clearly that's just their natural accent, and for others not, and that's probably something they could work on. But we've seen examples of that, like terrible examples of that. Bad English accents. Kevin Costner, I'm looking at you, or complete lack thereof, rather. You couldn't Princess Leia. I mean, she couldn't decide if she was affecting an English accent to save her life. But then you get awesome examples like Brad Pitt's Pikey. I mean, come on, who can pull that off but him?
I can't believe you pulled that reference. I don't know how that fit into this, but
I drew the line. You're welcome, internet. No, that's me. That's me being nitpicky. That's me looking to play devil's advocate and find something wrong with it. Didn't ruin the film for me. Doesn't make it any worse. Doesn't make it any better. It's just a thing that I picked. And it's not that big a deal. It's
right.
Really not.
And I remember watching the movie, and something struck me odd, and I was like, "Oh, this is great to comment on." But for the life of me, I can't remember at this moment. I mean, I don't. It wasn't an overall perfect, amazing movie without its flaws. I mean, it has flaws. I just unfortunately can't remember at this moment, so I feel bad.
I think we're still in love with the film at this point.
Probably.
It was the first date, and
Yes.
it went really well.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe second, third date, we'll start finding the little things we don't find so nice about this film.
Right. That may be the case. So I thought it was good. I don't know what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're getting a little too gushy at this point.
Yeah.
Clearly, we loved it.
Yes.
Clearly, we think that you haven't seen it yet. Go out there and spend some money on it. It's going to be worth it. It's a great time. If you're on the fence because of all the media surrounding it and how silly some of it was, I don't blame you. Because it didn't deserve to get wrapped up in that nonsense. It's a great movie. It's a good time. It's not even just a great superhero movie. It's just a good film.
And let's talk about the cultural significance of this movie, because I know a lot of people, especially African Americans, are looking at this movie as a big deal for them.
Well, in a certain context, that is true, because we've had obviously other African American lead actors in big action films before. Will Smith, Wesley Snipes, hell, even Damon Wayans. You've seen
Black Man, Spawn, Men in Black.
Oh yeah, Michael Jai White,
Blade. Those are all black superhero movies.
Very few of them have had this fanfare though. Gotten the
Why
full
is
court
that,
press
though?
because this is the Disney marketing arm, as I discussed earlier. This is them wanting to make this property successful, not just for the obvious demographic reasons, but because it's one of their flagships. They needed this film to work. You're not going to put this much into a character and then give everyone reason to complain about it not being given the proper marketing or being a subpar film in writing aspects, or them getting a director that wasn't quite right for it, terrible casting. No. They wanted to give this film all the respect it deserved because it's Disney and they need every property to mean something. They need every investment to pay dividends after the fact. Clearly, the risk was worth it with this character because he went over so well with his bit part in Civil War. So why not just open that checkbook and start just pumping money into this project? Get the best director, the best actors, Give it the best possible marketing, the best possible merchandising. Give the theaters all the tools they need to make money. Set up everyone that's involved with the film for a big win. Right. I think this is why this film is important, because it shows what Disney really can do when they care about something, no matter how obscure the title might be, no matter how obscure the character might be. In this case, not so, because it was, Black Panther's been a member of the Avengers for some time now.
And a lot of the last couple of Marvel movies, you could really feel the director's touch on it. Like James Gunn was all over Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
And another example of where the marketing arm went to work and really made an obscure property successful.
Right, and Taika
Waititi, yeah.
Yes, you could feel his touch all over Ragnarok.
Yeah, the dialogue, the camera work, it was very much a Taika Waititi film. And if you haven't seen, help me out, the vampire movie. Oh gosh.
Blade?
No. What We Do in the Dark.
Oh yes. What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows. Yes, you must see it. You must. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think they're going to make a TV series out of it, by the way.
Oh,
and they're making a sequel based on werewolves.
Yes, they are.
And then you can
werewolves, not swearwolves.
And you can definitely feel the director's touch on this movie. So you could definitely feel the director's touch on this movie. Ryan Coogler, you could feel that this was his own Black Panther movie. It wasn't the Disney machine. It was Coogler's film.
No. The writing was perfect. The direction was perfect. Again, everything was bang on. The costumes, the dialogue, everything felt natural. Nothing felt forced. The pacing was correct. I don't have enough nice things to say about this film.
The costumes, the costumes, it really felt like it was a real African country that existed based on their customs and their face painting and their rituals.
The jewelry.
Yes.
Even some of the more outlandish and extravagant jewelry didn't feel out of place or even foreign. It was odd. You're like, yep, that's how that guy would look.
And I know Coogler went out of his way to make sure that the beginning of the movie was set in Oakland, California, because that was the birthplace of the actual Black Panther organization.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
There were some pop culture references in the movie, talking about sneakers and talking about a movie.
Oh, that line killed me. That is such a Henry line. Jesus.
But she referenced the movie that Grandpa or their dad liked to watch, which was Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, right.
But I liked that the T'Challa and let me see
the names
the sister
are rough.
the sister Shuri.
Yeah, Shuri.
They really played the brother and sister very well.
They had a rapport.
I mean, they were
so cool. I mean, when they're walking to each other and they do the little bow, but then they like smack hands and get the little hug going. I'm like, that's brother and sister.
And
that's a respect that you only get from your sibling.
They flipped each other off, and the mom got after her. Sorry, mother. And,
Angela Bassett as their mother.
Yes.
Underplayed, I think.
Yes.
Very understated. Got such criminally few minutes on air. That's a shame. She was great. I think, more of her would have been nice. Because we don't really have a sense of the dynamic she has with her son, other than she's a very protective mother. And you could say that about any mother, really. So it's a little thin, and I wish her character had been fleshed out a bit more. I get why they didn't. There's a lot going on in the film.
But overall, the whole going back to the spy thriller with the Q and the overthrow and Jordan. I mean, I don't know. I'm just really, like you said, gushing over this film. I thought it was super very well done. I mean, I'm in awe of this film. So, any last words or thoughts about this film before we give it our rating here?
Yes, and it's an important one.
Okay.
Because I'm about to talk.
Okay.
No, really, if you've been paying attention at all to the media surrounding this film and have found it off-putting, have found it wildly exaggerated or silly or offensive or anything like that, ignore it. Please ignore it. There was a lot of really bad press surrounding the film that it didn't deserve, and a lot of silly proclamations that were unfounded. And if you've let that sway you out of seeing this film, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's very, very good. It's not at all what the press was making it out to be. It's not at all what your biases might make you think it's going to be. No, it's just good cinema, and you're going to have a good time. Hank?
I agree. I concur. Don't, there's been some Facebook groups and there's been some people trying to skew Rotten Tomatoes, and there's been false postings of people getting beaten at theaters or screenings of the movie. That's all fake, trying to, I don't know, hurt the movie, hurt Disney, or hurt the blacks. I don't know. I mean, I don't see why this movie is getting a lot more hate than it should have.
There are groups that are vested in us being at each other's throats, and we don't have to let them make it happen. It doesn't have to be this way ever.
I think
because this is look at the divide that this could bridge. This is us just all being comic book fans. It doesn't care if you're a man, doesn't care if you're a woman, doesn't care what color you are. It just wants you to spend money on it. And if we let it, it can be awesome.
And I think the numbers speak for itself. I mean, it's breaking so many records, and by the time this goes on YouTube, it's going to break a lot more records. It's overwhelmingly major positive reviews. I mean, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, I had to go out of my way to find something not to like.
Yes.
I had to dig deep into the darkest parts of my soul to find something not to like about this.
And to me, it's not the best Marvel movie, but it's one of the best up there for sure.
A gun to your head, which one is the best?
I don't know. I knew you were going to ask. I'm not prepared for that discussion. That may be another episode in itself.
Okay, then that's sort of fair. I would also agree that this film merits being in the discussion for which is the best Marvel property in the MCU right now.
Right.
So that one would be the front runner, if you asked me. To date, the front runner.
Really?
Yes. Guardians chasing it, because I love Guardians and I love the music. Really, they could have just had Rocket Raccoon and Groot doing shit with that soundtrack going underneath it. I probably would have still loved it.
All right, so it's ratings time. Oh man.
Keep in mind that these ratings are completely arbitrary and just what we feel at this moment. They mean nothing. Use your own opinion.
Oh man. Oh, Mike, you go first. Give me some.
This one's a solid 9.5. Again, slightly nitpicky. I think the only film I've ever given a perfect 10 was the Lego Batman movie, so you can see where my stupid head is at most of the time.
You're a DC lover.
I'm a DC lover. No.
Well, all great movies start with black, though.
They do. Oh,
Black
I wish
Panther.
I had done that. Yes. 9.5. Can't recommend it highly enough. 9.8. Screw it. 9.8. 9.9. I don't care. Let the world burn.
Oh, man. I'm going to give it a... man.
Yeah, this dead air is great for radio.
I know. It's just I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I guess I'm still in awe.
Where's your heart at? Just let that out.
9.5. 9.5. I mean, it's up there. I mean, it's one of the best Marvel movies.
Again, this is our first date with this movie,
right?
And it was a great time, and we would like a repeat date. If you could. I mean, if you had a good time and we certainly had a good time, then I don't see why. Maybe next week, and we can do a thing.
Yeah, or if you watched it and you found some flaws or maybe something we missed, then feel free to comment below and maybe we'll address it. But maybe you didn't like it as much as we did.
If you had a legitimate axe to grind with this film and have a decent argument as to why, let us know in the comments.
Right, and obviously Disney pays us because that's why we're talking.
Full disclosure,
yes.
We are Disney employees,
so that we're on their paycheck. But no, we love the movie for standing on its own. So 9.5. I mean, I thought it was great. It was great. I loved it. So that's it.
Closing thoughts.
Yeah,
I have a thought.
Okay.
If you'd like to see more videos like this, you could click the subscribe button below Henry here. Or if you'd like to subscribe and then receive notifications when we put on a new episode, click the little bell icon right next to that.
Ding. So that does it for The Heroes You Deserve. I'm Henry.
I am Mike.
And that's it for our Black Panther spoiler review. Thank you very much, and catch you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.